Okay. Hello, if you can see me, I'm just checking if this is working. Okay, I think it's working. Um, Still about 7 minutes, so I'll just sit here in silence. I think I can see your comments from so I'm using StreamYard, and I can see your comments on the stream here as well. So if you have any questions, just pop up. But I'll probably start in like 7 to 10 minutes. Yeah. Let me know if you can't hear anything or I need to change anything. Okay. So I think that's how I share screens and stuff. Pretty cool. Uh, phone change it. Stuff to okay, so shares and stuff. No, pretty cool. It seems we've got one other person watching. Me. Yeah, so that's a link. Feel free to just come up and join. I think what happens is that you wait backstage and I can accept you in. Can have a conversation or you can share your screen. But yeah, that'll be open throughout the duration of the live. So yeah, feel free. It's yeah, about minutes ago. Okay, hey, TIno here. We'll just give another 5 minutes for people to come in, and I'll introduce myself and talk about what this whole series is going to be about, what we hope to achieve, and what we're going to be doing. So I hope you have some fun, learn some things, and I hope I learn a few things from you guys as well, asking me questions. If you check the description, there'll be loads of links there. If you're new here, to join various groups and stuff to get started with the Coliseum Hackathon. But yeah, we'll just give it a couple minutes and I'll make another introduction and we'll just get it going. Okay, there should be at least one other person watching me. So yeah, if you could say hello, that'd be cool. No doubt we'll get people coming in and out from when we start. But I know I'm watching in another window just to make sure things are okay. Yeah, all of these will be recorded anyway, um, on YouTube. Couple more minutes. Okay, okay. I wonder how long I've been speaking so, for. But yeah, I said Olga. I can see you in the backstage. If you just wave, I can let you on. But what I was saying is, yeah, I'm Tino, just a Rust developer from the UK. I'm bringing these live streams as well as Super Team UK to basically have a place where anyone can drop in, ask questions about their project or anything like that, about building smart contracts or the architecture side. Um, I was going on a bit of a ramble about hackathons, but basically, um, it's not always about winning. I think it's about making that first movement towards your idea. There's always a certain percentage chance that you're not chosen, and there's so many factors going into that. I think that if you just believe that your idea can make money in the long run, hackathons can basically push you in the right direction, and they're a good thing to take part in anyway. So this is the Coliseum Hackathon. It's about 5 weeks, so you've got some time to build out and think about your project, and it's really not that much pressure, but the upside of it is quite a lot. And there's a lot going on in the different super teams regarding the hackathon. And if you check Super Team Earn, there's loads of different tracks as well, just surrounding the hackathon. So it's a major event in the Solana calendar. So it's good to participate, either your first hackathon or your next one. Try and get into that prize, or move forward your project. Yeah, so today I just wanted to talk about basically signing up for the hackathon. Check I can do these streams and things are okay. Um, so yeah, I can see Olga, you on the backstage. Just at any point in time, just wave and I'll let you on to the main stage. Okay, okay, yeah, I can see your camera's on. Okay, yeah. So after you sign up for the hackathon, you'll be on this page here, which is the dashboard. But before that, you basically go here. You can sign on. Share screen. Here, and here's your sign up page. Just like anything you really sign up for. Username, display name, or you can connect your Google or GitHub account. And that's the first step in joining. I think the link to join this is in the description as well. Um, so after you've done that, you'll get onto your dashboard. Share screen. There we go. Yeah, so when you log in, this is the dashboard. You see some announcements here. So the hackathon started, and we finished May 11th. At that time, 2.5 million up for grabs here. Good luck to everyone. You got about 32 days to get it sorted out. But basically, this will just prompt you to start registering your idea here. So you complete your profile, you register, the hackathon started, and you create your project here. Another thing that's pretty interesting is these weekly video updates. I think I'll definitely be doing these as well for my projects, and I'll talk about that in a couple of moments as well. But just a 1 minute video, just updating, how things have been going with you. I think it's good for the judges because they are people as well. And, I think if you've ever had anything where you've had like a low volume to do, you do get bored of it. So you want people to be short, interesting, and direct with the problems that they're solving as well. So I think the 1 minute videos are definitely something that are useful to do. You can also explore different other ones. So the past winners of the hackathon here. The last one was Cypherpunk, and this was unruggable. And I met these guys at Rust Nation UK. So even after the hackathon, it's still worth pushing your business, even if you won or you didn't. There's still so many audiences I want to learn about your experience, and that's what these guys are talking about. You can see all the other apps as well, and yeah, do some research on okay. Another thing that's pretty cool here. is this co-pilot. So it basically is a agent that Solana, the foundation's trained on all the historical projects that have gone through the Colosseum. So whether they were good or bad, if they won, or if they're similar to what you're building. I think even before you start, you can check what the competition is doing as well. And I have a little tutorial for doing that because I think if you're a founder or if you're an engineer or whatever, you can still make use of these tools to basically give you an advantage in understanding your project. Yeah. So that's what you get after you log in. It's just a way for you to submit your project in a you know in a structured way. If we go to edit project here, we can see the different steps that we're gonna have to take when we want to submit our project. I'll talk about my project in a bit. But, yeah, the description of your project, the website, what you're building, who's it for, what technologies, standard stuff for the judges to read. Next one is here again, just filling in information, some media about your project, so any links and stuff like that. And then the last one's here is where you talk about your team or if you're solo, how you built it, and if you want to apply to the accelerator. Because after there's a funded accelerator for teams building out. So yeah, when you come to finish your project, this is what the end will look like. Filling this in, putting in all the detail. Hopefully your 1 minute videos as well. You can have your full submission there. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna grab a drink quickly. Okay, I'm back. Mm, yeah, so if you go onto the some of the links in the YouTube description, you'll see this kind of evolving Git book that I'm making, just to have all the information and a recap of the events, a couple lessons and technical stuff as well. Read up on the evolving library, and if you open that one, you can kind of see just another description of getting started. Yeah, yeah. So I think it's always important to ask why do it, because there's the chances are that probably you won't win anything, or you might not get what's out of it, but it's all about movement, I think, and making that first movement, and hackathons allow you to do that. And who's these hackathons for? So anyone who has a business idea that they think the blockchain can be useful for. There's not really any specific tracks that you can build, that you have to build for the general tracks as well, but if you have a specific one, it's there. For example, with my project, it's like a gaming track, and the specific gaming tracks there. It's really interesting to see like the depth of the tracks you can join in. They really don't have it on other chains, to be honest. Yeah, so if you want to sign up, here's a link there. You get your dashboard as well. I think something interesting to try and do, in your own time, is scoping out all the other ideas as well. So the Copilot's pretty good tool. It lets you see the competitive history, within your niche, and test your ideas without doing it manually. You can ask the AI, "Oh, is this a good idea? How did it do? What did the judges think about it?" If you have a Claude extent, if you pay for Claude or whatever, it's pretty easy to do. But three ways to use Open Claude, and if you're not really computer focused or based, a good introduction to all this AI stuff and all that stuff is learning how to install OpenClaw onto your machine, because it's not really coding, but you get the power of this program to search things up for you. And in this specific environment, you can use it to search up other business ideas and get answers before you started. So yeah, the tutorials there is kind of a challenge, because I think it's important for people who don't program to also have the power to understand, okay, what can the code do? What's the extent of it? How has this code, gone before with other projects? What are the drawbacks and advantages? Um, yeah, here just gonna tell you about what's gonna happen when you submit your project. So you can do a draft before you submit it. All the things that they ask you for. And finally, when they ask you for your team members or if you want to be a part of the accelerator. So Ship with TIno is just a weekly live stream from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. A bit shorter this time. I just wanted to do some preparation, see, okay, can I stream it? Is it fine? And yeah, it seems pretty easy with StreamYard, and you can bring people up here. I've been speaking for a while, but it's really just to help, prospective builders get a worthy submission, into Coliseum. Because as you can see, it's not just programming. There's some other, ways that you want to present it, get the judge's attention. Always remembering that they're people too as well. Although it might, sound good on paper, when it, gets in front of a person, it's a different story. So understanding how you can tailor your application to do that as well. And I think at the end of the day, like I said at the start, just getting that movement within your project, which is always important. Because if you have an idea that's personal to you, that you've thought about it, personally, you want to bring it into fruition, it's always that initial movement that you need, not the win, not the loss or anything like that. Just need to get moving. Um, yeah, so I think these streams will help people who aren't founders as well, understand, okay, why even put some business logic on the smart contract as opposed to other methods? Are we saving money using a smart contract? So you don't need to be a programmer to do that, but to be a founder, part of the founders team, you do need to understand uh, why you'd make those choices. I talk about that a bit as well. A lot of it, maybe, probably, might just be me working on my projects, which I'll go into later on. And then, anyone has any questions or anything can come up anytime, or we can just program together, talk about what we're building, what we hope for, and take it from there. But before I jump on the chess stuff, let me just check the stage. Okay, we have 0 people. It's always good. So it just gives me an excuse to program. Okay, wait, let me check the comments. I think the sound's fine, audio's fine. It's all good. Let me share. Okay. I just want to share the link in our Telegram. If I just go off and start programming, forget about all that. Uh, what I really have learned is learn how to spell Colosseum. That is something I know how to spell. Yeah, so it's just if you're watching, I'm always going to be backstage to know. I will check the comments, as soon as I start programming. I will check them every so often. If you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to ask. Don't hesitate to come up either. That's what we're here for. Okey-dokey. Good. Okay. Guess I can just get straight into talk about XFchess and talk about how I program, how I do things. If you've missed the start of it, just introducing, the Colosseum build, all that stuff. If you check the links in the description of this YouTube stream, you'll see a Git book, and that basically has all the information I've spoken about at the start and how to join. Right now, I'm probably going to go into the programming, and as people jump in, they can find out more about what I'm doing, and how I want to structure it as well. So the Colosseum, from this vantage point, how I think I want to structure my business idea is going to be very different than other people's. But I think we can learn from each other's stories to always have a solid pitch for our idea, make a strong pitch. So if anyone asks us, we can say, "This is what we're building. This is the conviction that we have within it," and that just comes from practicing and not being fearful when it's time to show other people. Okay. I'm gonna share my uh, coding screen now. So many IDEs now, but this one's a windsurf. It's like a agentic IDE. I was using anti-gravity, but there's so many issues with that one. Like sometimes it's working. Just recently now, I wasn't connecting to the server. It wasn't even using Claude. It was using their own Gemini AI. Um, Windsurf seems pretty solid though. I know there's a few other ones, like Kilo Code. That's more of an extension. I think they have an IDE, but these agentic first IDEs. I think in this feature now, it's really about orchestrating. Everyone talks about how you can orchestrate the AIs. Tell them what to do, because it's all about time. People say time is money. If something can reliably save you time, then it's a good tool. At the end of the day. And the question is, are these things as reliable as we'd like to believe they are or think they are? And that always comes down to what does the user say, what does the end user say? And even with the AI providers that are there, although they have this idea of taking over things, it's still about what the end user is saying about their provider, what the end user is saying about Claude, GPT, or Gemini, whichever one. That also matters as well. So it doesn't really matter how you do it. It's just about, can you keep customers coming through the door in the way that you do it. Um, yeah, I think that's a way to look at programming, because I think you're still having the fight of people that don't want these agentic tools used so much, and people who are just using them for everything, even in senior or principal level positions. So then you understand that their roles are changing, and the market might not have caught up with it yet. But it's interesting times to be a programmer. Okie dokie. So yeah, this is very confusing to anyone who might not program all the time. But this is just what you call a development environment. You have loads of different ones. This one's Windsurf, and what it's showing is my submission for the Colosseum Hackathon, which is xfchess. Nothing really too special about xfchess. I can show you some gameplay now. Share screen. Okay. we are. Okay. Yeah, so this is XL Chess. I've been working on this maybe for like a year and a half now. Uh, its root, it's a game built in the Bevy engine, which is a Rust-based engine using the ECS paradigm. And it's basically how do you represent a game is just like data, and there's different ways. How do you represent that data in your engine, basically? And different engines have different ways. Bevy uses the entity component system, and that suits Rust because Rust is a strongly typed language. So your structs uh, define things in your games, and your enums define your states in your games. Your implementations define the modifications. Different data points in your game that builds your game. And that's how you can get all those different building blocks into a game that works. So yeah, this is XF Chess. This is the loading screen for it, but yeah, you can see it's a chess game, 3D chess game. And then I'll talk about mainly just the idea of making a 3D chess game in Rust. But then more interesting is attaching the blockchain, which at the end of the day has no conception of the 3D chess game going on. But through the different technologies you have on Solana, you can kind of make that link and have things um, happen within something that you have expertise in, using like another technology to kind of enhance it. Because you just have a standard chess game, but when you add that financial blockchain layer, suddenly you have a different type of game that can have a different possible type of audience that can really get you different types of rewards. And that's important when you think about your idea. Is it worth putting it on the blockchain, or you just forcing it onto the blockchain? Because the blockchain isn't really too complicated. It's just a ledger that anyone can see, and you can think of in any scenario. Okay, would I want everyone to see this? Would I even put this information on a ledger before you think, okay, I need to build it on this blockchain technology? Before I did look at other chains to do this on, but none of them were as advanced in the different types of data you can put on chain as Solana. More contracts are more simple than the ones you have for Solana. So it's just like I said, just a standard 3D chess game built in Rust, which makes it a bit special because there are not many end-to-end games built in Rust. And another thing that integrates is Stockfish, which is like a chess UI, chess engine that is one of the highest rated engines. People basically use Stockfish as a benchmark because it's so powerful. And in this game you have access to play easy, medium, or hard difficulty. Let's take a quick look. Let's see. Okay, there's someone in the backstage I can see. Hey there, hey there. Hey FC Drifts. Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here too. Nice to meet you. Hopefully, as we go on, we can drop in and just say hi to each other. I see Tyra Ojo was in the back rooms, stuck in the back rooms. Just join again, and I'll let you in. Anyone who wants to join, just check the link. And I'll let you in. But yeah, so nothing special. Built in Rust, entity component system. I think Unity, which is a different engine, uses a different one. But yeah, like I said, you have the different variations of the Stockfish engine, and that kind of hooks up into this whole chess ecosystem. So I think it's important to also bridge, your domain or your interest with, the Solana blockchain as well, because it wants to become embedded in all these different aspects of, human life. And by keeping the standards that are upheld, within the banking industry, the gaming industry, the trade industry, by keeping those standards, but then bringing it on chain, you're just making people who are users of those things outside of the chain more willing to accept it. So I think it does need people to say, here's this domain, but here it is on the blockchain. Let's try and bring these two ecosystems together. And I think that's how you get most of your your new users into the blockchain, by coming into their spaces and disrupting it in a good way. And that's kind of what this wants to do by having this trustless financial layer on chess, but still having the game of chess be as safe and as validated as possible when you are transacting money, in this automatic way. Okey-dokey. I'll just do a quick game while we're here. Um, yeah, 3D, so you can move your camera about. And this is just playing AI. So this is just without the Solana integration. We can talk about that a bit later. Um, now I have to think about how I'm going to lose to this AI. Say I'm in a compromised position. See the tactical angles. But again, nothing special about the chess game. It's when you bring the stuff on chain. So after this, I'll show the on chain stuff. If I have enough brain power to beat the AI. Ouch. Yeah. Oh yeah, I never said I was good at chess, by the way. Never said that. See if I can do that here. And this is Stockfish, so the best. I'm not surprised you didn't. Yeah, if I get carried away. Uh, the game loop is done. You have the end-to-end game with AI and on-chain as well. I'll just show you how the on-chain game works because, like I said, you're merging these two worlds together, and from there, I'll probably just continue on programming. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to jump in. Check the backstage. Uh, check how am I in chat? Oh, checkmate. There we go. I lost to the AI. I never said I was good at chess, but yeah, there you go. And then we have our Solana lobby. To be honest, what I could show you is no, we'll go through the contracts first. So yeah, that's what I've been building XF Chess. I could go into a nice little preamble about it, but I think from the research I did, there's over 2 million chess games played on Lead Chess. I think daily, more, maybe even 10 million played on chess.com. Regardless, there's millions of chess games going on. You can just imagine, millions of these simple games running between people every second. Just like a market, just like a transaction market, but it's just what people are trading for. Are their chess rating? We're trading for having a good time in the time that they spend. Different chess games are different lengths of time, so they might think I might have fun in a 30-minute game, a 10-minute game, blah blah blah, and they're trading that of the expense of that mental toil of playing a chess game properly, trying to win. They want the rating, they want all these different things. So then I think why not just add a financialized layer onto that? Just gone now was the help bank challenges, and that helped me understand, the legal aspect of doing something like this. And chess is one of those games where, because it's a prize competition, there's no gambling involved. It's based on the skill. Um, the only random chances if you're going to be white or black when you decide. So when you first start playing, so that was out of the way. I think there's also a demand for chess products that teach people chess that are free and that are good, that are solid. The way that I've built XFchess, it fulfills that as well. And that's, talking about these, not legacy, but these more established ecosystems, the chess ecosystem, the programming ecosystem, the chess programmers, showing what you can do, what's possible, bringing all these threads together. And I think that's kind of the path for like the founder programmer to do it that way, because when you bring different threads, you just basically strengthen your own network. I've, with the networking protocol, okay, I knew I got it from over there. With the chess engine, the graphical engine Bevy, I knew the people are over there. With Solana, I know the guys are over here. With the Tori, which is like the front end application, that's in there. I know they're over there. The Rust, I know in general is over here. And then that whole network and the chess people I know over there, that whole network has strengthened what I'm able to do, and who I'm able to bring into what I'm building. Um, so in that respect, there are charities as well, chess charities. One is called Chess in Slums in Africa, um, and this is made by basically a Nigerian chess player, very famous, called Tunde. And he grew up in the slum, but through chess he was able to basically make it out. And it'd be cool to partner with these charities, these people that can give the game exposure, give the game, relevance in the chess, ecosystem, while still bringing on the new blockchain aspects of that. So, in the game's development, I do want it to be like an educational game that people can play to understand different aspects of chess. It's also, people can play the game anywhere because there's no server, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But, that was just me rambling from my idea. Okay. Right now, I'm going to bring up the code for XFchess and just talk about smart contract codes and business logic on smart contracts. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. So, because I've been working on this for a long time, a year now, the program's got pretty big, quite big. It's not like a library. And you need to, open the folders, get the sections that you want, understand how it works within the whole library. Um, and that's kind of like just a testament to how much effort and time has gone over it to where it's evolved. Because before, just like with any program, it was just a few lines of code, open a simple window in Bevy, and now it's come together to this was in reality like a product that you can talk about and tell people. Okie dokie. So I think to be honest, easier would be for me to explain just the project structure, because when you hand in your project, someone who's technical and technically minded is gonna have to read through it and understand it. And again, because they're human, you want them to get information that they need fast. You want them to understand it completely, so they can consider your application with the depth and care that it deserves. And that comes from how you structure your repo. So if you've got your technical guy on your team, or you yourself are building your own repo, um, it being clean is always a good idea. So we'll just start with the the game first. With any game, you have the assets, and as we saw, those are the chess pieces, and this is just a way to load the assets. Um, Bevy uses GLTF, which is like a type of asset file. That means anyone who wants to create 3D art for this chess game, boards, pieces, or whatever, they can do it. You just have to import the assets here and load it into a loader. And that's kind of the thing about the game as well. It's meant to be open source, so anyone can build on it in this modular fashion and create their own variations as well, including auditing the smart contracts. And there's a push within the Solana Foundation to have open source um, projects there. Yeah, so this is just the asset loader here. You can see in the chess game, you're going to have the different pieces here. Because it's a very small file, these things don't really come into it. The progress sort of assets, when you're loading it, they come instantly, but still you have that track in there for the game. And like I said before, this just means that if someone has a king, but it's in their own style of king, they can easily just plug and play. Someone has a queen, but it's their own themed queen, from history or from fantasy or whatever. They can plug and play. And that goes for each of the pieces. Here, you have the bin file for the debugger. So when the game's running, just to make sure the ephemeral rollups, the smart contracts are sending the moves, the transactions, everything's there. Have a debugger running, and that prints the terminal. Also reading different stuff, but yeah, this isn't really too important. Mm, yeah, I think these were tests that I did as well. Because you can build the smart contract so far, but if you're not testing that these instructions are working, these calls are going where they need to, then it doesn't really make any sense. So I already have the end-to-end tests here. I think that's important to have, especially for a game as well, where you have an expected game loop, a game flow. It's easier than other products you might use smart contracts for, but still you have that end-to-end test that these things are working, and that's one of them here. So that's just the bin stuff, not really important, but the debugger and the end-to-end test stuff was important. You have the core file here for the game. These ones are done in macros just because the game got quite large, so I used macros, which are basically shorthand for code in a way to handle stuff like error handling, things like this. Uh, you then have these plugins here, and basically Bevy, there's somewhere that's just building blocks. You have these plugins as well, which are basically plugin. You you code them, you plug them into your game. I don't know how else to describe them, but for example, here you can see you have some state plugins. You can have some game statistics plugins, and you can imagine each of these structs basically have code associated to how you generate information for that plugin. And when it's time to register them all, you register them in your plugins here. And as we go through the game, we'll understand what plugins we have to basically manage the life cycle of the game. But this stuff is just interesting insofar as it's not directly related to Solana. Then you have the glue of the smart contracts, which bring these worlds together. Yeah, so here's the engine. It's a chess game, and there are definitely some standards you have when you're programming a chess game. As it's either like a bit board or another type of board. It's the way you represent it. So different engines can basically, because the engine can't see the 3D chess piece. It's not human. It's just reading the information. So you have different ways of representing it within how it's usually done within chess programming here. I think I'm using a bitboard here. So for the chess engine, you need the FEN, which is like the chess notation here. You see the starting game FEN is this. and it changes every time you make a move. So you can imagine during the game, this will be like the like authority of, okay, this is what happened in the game. Was it a legal move or not? This is the game state as a starting position. And over the smart contract, you also send this as well. So when people look at the smart contract, they can say, okay, that move was made there, and this was the game state at that move. Okay. Yeah, we have the position here, the clock here, current turn, casting rise, on percent. So all the main things that the chess engine would need to know. Then we implement the default conditions for it. So like you can imagine these as like settings, and then this is the implementation of the default chess engine settings. And yeah, this is a bit complex because you probably aren't Rust uh, developers to this extent, but we'll show how it all links onto smart contract because we have to get the game data, sent over the smart contract, sent to chain, so we can have this financial layer. So here we implement the chess engine. So all the graphical board pieces you see are then translated into chess notation, so the game can read it, so the engine can read it, so it can get sent over the smart contract. So yeah, this is just implementing the engine, so it basically can be seen by the rest of the game, uh, and that can dictate what happens. Yeah. So yeah. Mm. We have the game stuff here. When you call in Stockfish, it has to go through this module, which treats it as basically like a resource that runs like as a sidecar thread process. So remember, Stockfish is like the AI running here, and here are all the settings that we make. We want to implement our AI. I haven't done the functionality yet, but I was thinking you can still do rewards and NFT prizes based on beating either someone's AI or Stockfish's AI. So that transaction Solana layer doesn't have to be just limited to just PvP, player versus player. So yeah, so again, it takes the board state here, which comes from the engine. You can see it's calling stuff from the engine, different components from the game to make this AI system. And most important is the board state, so the AI can read, okay, what's the thing, what's going on here. And, as we know, it's set up as a thread, so it's a separate task that runs alongside the game. And different ways of doing it can obviously impact the game. You want it to be fast, responsive. You don't want it to be instant. You want when the pieces are moving to be animated as well. You want it to feel like, yeah, okay, I'm playing against the AI bot player, not just the instant player or something like that. So you want to have some element of thinking, but you also want to know that it made this move because it was the best move. And you get that by basically providing a smooth experience when it goes on. And depending on whether you put it in a thread or not, or how you handle, the AI process, you can have like a really laggy AI, which ruins the experience. We can have a normal fast one. Now, as you can see in that one, the AI was fine, it was fast. But I remember when I was developing it before, I used an self-made chess engine, and there was stuttering. It wouldn't always make the right decision, even on the higher difficulties as well. And if you want to have that compliant chess game, that follows all the standards that are accepted at competition, club level, you do have to make sure these nuances are right as well, because those I think are my customers, the people that play chess at the competition and club level um, that exist, and then the online players as well. Because with a 3D chess game, you can have the in-person esports dynamic, or you can have the online chess game as well. So definitely wanted to appeal to those audiences with a smooth and thorough chess game with a good UI. That's all they really ask for. Yeah, so this is just some rest stuff. If you have any questions, I'm checking. Yeah, seems we don't have many people watching. That's okay. Mm, okay, so that's the AI system there. You also have the input, so you can see, we click on pieces to move. So you have a cursor state that tracks it. Um, I remember this was such a big issue when I was first creating this, but you know, imagine basically your cursor is a piece of data that moves along the board. You have a system to track if it's going over something, and then you have a function that basically dictates what the cursor can do over that point. So, on piece hover, we can see, okay, it's a type of piece. Is it my turn yet? Also, game phase. When you're hovering over it, you can have the materials change. So, you kind of think of all the things that I want to change here, and this is the data that I'm changing. And when you see that pattern, you really kind of understand the entity component system and Bevy in general here. You have your data that you're declaring here as variables. Then you have, okay, how do I access it through these structs here? So this just defines what happens when my cursor, which is some data, hovers over another piece of data, which is the game board. And when it unhovers and all that good stuff. Okay, we then have the multiplayer, which is we're getting closer to the smart contract stuff here. And you could make a game, right, a chess game, and then you could just do what everyone else is doing, which is having these servers that basically eat up any profits you can make, and that would be okay if you were setting up a charity or a non-profit, which you can still do and make money for the non-profit. It'll be okay to accept those server costs as in exchange for basically having a solid and quote unquote place to host your game and build upon. Have that history of hosting on that platform. Kind of better the devil in that respect. But then if you're scaling up as a business and your idea you want it to make money, it's always about keeping those initial costs low. I think it's always about the black line that you don't want to fall below, and the way you can guarantee that is how you basically structure your product, the software that you use. I think although this all this stuff talk about AI taking over this, AI taking over that, I think at the end of the day, good software is still in demand and it's still needed by companies and individuals to get tasks done. Um, so yeah, in that respect, if you can keep your costs down by using software, then you're using software great in a commercial setting. So this is all to say, my multiplayer implementation means there's no servers, and at scale, that really saves a lot of money. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands that would eat into the profits. And as we get closer to smart contract, the business logic, um, you can understand why I decided to use the server protocol instead of hosting it using WebSockets and paying those fees. Because it's not, you can look at your competitors, right? Lead Chess and chess.com are the competitors. I think chess.com employs, I want to say, around 150 people. I'm not too sure. Lead Chess, when it started, was just one person, but as it got bigger, it scaled. And both of them are paying, chess.com probably paying millions in hosting fees. And Lead Chess, I think they pay around 500,000 in hosting fees as well. But once you make your game peer to peer in how you connect with it, then once you put the transaction layer which would in the old financial system be like Visa or Stripe or something that's going to take a fee. Um, you have it in an automated way that's integrated with your application. That is the promise of blockchain. That is blockchain working. Um, in the real world, how it's basically intended to, and only so long smart contracts are advanced enough to basically allow you to put a whole game on your smart contract. Um, so yeah, we can keep the cost low down with the Solana decentralized ledger. Then we can keep the cost low down with my networking protocol. Um, blah blah blah. The internet is built over HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol, and that's how information is transferred, from A to B between peers. That's how we transfer information, and the internet is just a information transfer, tool. Before I just go on the ramble, see. Yeah, the internet is just an information transfer tool. So to that extent, the way that you modify the internet is modifying that protocol, that HTTP protocol. And this is one way that you can do it. It's called Braid. It's a working group. If you type in braid.org, you'll find it. But what it does, it basically means all the people that are looking at this shared piece of information are synchronized to it. They're not waiting for a transfer. They're synchronized to the information. So it's an algorithm that basically allows for instantaneous updates of this information. In a chess game setting, it allows for instantaneous updates between peers, the board state, the board rules, what's been taken, any chats or anything that an online game would need. And that's basically the promise of it. Okay. So yeah, I don't want to bore you with how the algorithm works, but it's basically just a node. You can imagine a node that goes from a peer to peer, and they subscribe to something. And in this, regard, they're subscribing to the board game state. So it's not trying to replay the graphics onto my machine or replay the physics or whatever. It's just basically trying to replicate the state across the internet with another state instead of all the other overhead, keeping it cheap. Thank you. So yeah, this is the Braid node manager, and it calls in these fundamentals here, which is chess message, chess publisher, chess subscriber. So we'll just have a quick look. This is why Windsurf is good. It can do a quick wiki or something. So yeah, um, these are like fundamental ways to how it's working. So the chess subscriber is basically the peer-to-peers. The player A and B, they're the chess subscribers. The chess publisher is also playing A and B. They publish things to the subscribers, and the subscribers get the information and they update it. And the way they do that is through this chess message struct, and that's basically the protocol we then put in the chess environment. So yeah, if we check chess message, we can see it comes from this braid URI crate, and URI is basically I forgot what it stands for, but it's basically how chess engines and chess programming can talk to each other. It's like it's not HTTP for chess programming, but in a way it's kind of like their transfer protocol of chess information. So if we go to the Braid URI crate here, and this is where the networking will come into it. So Braid URI. So this is basically saying, okay, let's send these chess messages over Braid. So we got chess message here. We can see, okay, what are the different messages that we'll have? We have the move, the resign, the offer draw, accept draw, decline, the clock state, engine analysis. And what's interesting here is that it says an enum. So the chess message is actually a state of the board. Enums are basically state machines, so they tell you is it on, is it off, is it hot, cold, warm, um, is it driving, is it not driving. So they basically tell you the state of something. So here we can see basically that concept that instead of having the normal networking protocol, it's basically a state machine. So sending the state of the game as a message to the peers. We can now see the subscribers. So the subscriber basically takes the URL, which is in this example would be like the game state, be the URL, would be what it's subscribing to, the game ID, and then the client, which is the break client, which is how the information is being basically handled through the break client, and the game ID, which is a unique game string. And yeah, these are just the helper functions to subscribe. And then you have the publisher here. And then you can see the publisher, it goes through the break client as well uh, to publish on the subscription URL. And then it publishes the current version. So you can imagine with all these different states, all these different changes, the way the networking protocol handles these changes in time is by using versioning. So each change is a different version, and that's what's sent over. And it's just a case of that other computer replicating the correct version. Yeah, so that's how it works. You can see these crates here are all the networking crates. It might look like a lot, but this saves a lot of money basically. Um, yeah. If anyone has any questions on that, happy. Oh wait, look. Okay, I've just seen these private chats from all that. Okay, look if someone's going to teach me how to build in Solana. Definitely. I'm gonna email you. I think I see everyone who signs up. I'm gonna find a way to connect with you and then put a link, send you a link to the Telegram group chat. And this is 24/7 outside of the hackathon as well. So if you need any help, just let me know. But yeah, this was just a tutorial. There's nothing really pressing here. This is the first one. Next week we'll ramp it up with some more like tutorials, some more code stuff. Also be using it as an opportunity to show off my examples. Um, yeah, so definitely it's the message. Okay. So even though there's no one here, it was a great opportunity for me to talk and think about my submission. We just build as well. Okay. Yeah, so like all these backend crates, just like the networking protocol. So this IRO stuff, this is the heavy lift. The IRO is what allows you to connect without the server. Braid is basically the protocol of how these peers are connecting. So while they send in between each other over this IRO connection, and what does that allow them to do? So you can kind of think IRO at top, then Braid goes through IRO peer to peer, and then Braid also talks to the entire chess game as well, because it'll basically through the versioning system also tell the rest of the game, okay, where's the game at, tell the AI what moves were made, things like this. very interesting. Here we have something called Shackmatey, and you know, chess has rules to be compliant, to be a proper chess game where people trust it. You have to have rules basically, and Shackmatey is just a crate built in Rust that enforces these rules. And why it's important because when we bring it on chain, we can also enforce those same rules as well. So nothing that can't happen in a chess game will be registered on chain. The transaction wouldn't go through. And again, that's bringing these ecosystems together to be able to trust each other as they share this decentralized space. So it's just very important when you're transferring money that things are as fair as possible. Um, Over here as well, something quite interesting. When you build more and more, and you're thinking, okay, what if I had 100 users using this at the moment? What if I had 1,000, 10,000? You want to basically have more intricate testing. You can't test for 10,000 people using the same architectures for 100 people. So here we have something called a Solana contract fuzzer, and that basically simulates games, simulates transactions being made on the smart contract by just running like a script. So it'd say, okay, generate these key pairs, fund them this way, engage them into a game, make these the moves. Are they recorded on chain? Can this happen at scale? And when the technical person comes to review your project, you want that kind of long-term thinking. Have I included something for when this runs in production at scale? So yeah, that makes it for the crates. They're kind of just like the back end that make the game complete. Although they're quite extensive, when you factor in not having a central server and all the headache that brings in as well, it's worth it having these things, especially in Rust as well, where okay, it's type safe, it's going to work in production, for the most part. Let's have something unsafe in there. Just going to grab a quick drink quickly. I think I'm going to put up a bounty for this chess game. Uh, First person to like sign up and play, it's like 50 USD. Because doing this basically, they'll just help bank. Before I go back into the my Solana contracts and what they're doing, they'll just help bank challenge, and that really made me think of, okay, how can this make money? Let's not even be around the bush here. How can this product make money? You know, um, and you need like activation energy. You need that first impetus to get people to put money in, and that, especially for a game, can come through prizes, repeat, competitions and things like this. You then need your user base that are gonna play the game anyway, um, but aren't gonna spend money. And the great thing about the using doing that for Solana and then the P2P architecture is that they don't cost me any money. A lot of products, it costs you money to get the users in the first place. So, we're really reducing our expense activation energy, but the rewards we can get are quite large as well. Then also have to be considerate of the chess space in general as well, because let's say it does become successful. Let's say you're having bloody 200,000 games a day played on it. I'm not paying any server fees. I'm not paying the transaction fees that will put onto the players. The players are able to earn $2, $5, $10 from just a game of chess. Let's say it's all going on. You don't want to be the person who's basically hogging all that wealth. You want to reinvest that wealth back into the chess ecosystem, back into the education, back into the game. I think that philosophy needs to stay through as well, where you can still have this financial incentive, but still, the wallet of the company still can probably be this public, accountable thing that is spending a proportion of things, to do good with all the money people bet on each other. Um, but yeah, the more I think of it, the more I feel like the game can be definitely dropped onto mainnet, definitely onto DevNet to be played as much as it can be by next week, and then after that, it can be probably dropped onto mainnet. As we get close to the Colosseum hackathon. Yeah. Um, Let me just continue building because sometimes you know building something solo can be fun because you think about and solve all the problems yourself, and human beings were solving problem solving machines, right? So from solving all these problems, thinking about it, it can be fun as well. But you can definitely get lost in um, you can get lost in the thought of it. But then hackathons again are that movement to get something going. Okay, so where are we? We're at the funding. I think this is yeah. So this was the fuzzer. Make sure the stream is okay. Yeah, you know yeah, you gotta put yourself there. Cool. I don't want to get into the programs just yet because they're the most interesting bit, but I kind of want to just play around with it as well. So yeah, describe the networking layer, which is peers subscribing to each other. Basically, it's like it's like um it's like if your friend was speaking, you're doing this, but they're speaking directly into your ear, so you get information 100% correctly. And because it's so fresh, it's so new, you can remember what they said because it's so clear. You can remember it, and those are the different versions, which are just representing different states in time that your program algorithm is running and what's capturing. And you can do that between computers. You don't need a server for that. I talked about the Bevy engine and how it to um, has to talk to chess programming in general using URI. But also, the networking has to talk to chess programming in general. So you have different ways of representing chess data in Bevy, and you have different ways of doing the networking in Braid while still keeping that central, chess standard of programming chess stuff. So last thing to talk about is the programs before I start just letting the AI take control, seeing who else jumps in as well. Yes. Okay, okay. So yeah, those are the programs. Have anything else? No. Okay. Before we start that, I'm just going to test to see if the latest build is working. I'll show you what we've got so far. Then we're not too far away from that. So right now I'm just in my terminal finding the program to run. Let's see if I can change my. Uh, Go just build in my chess game now. It should work actually. It should work. Um, yeah. So after this one, I've got about three three meetings with people that have people that want to build. And then Olga as well. Find some time to talk. I should be at Somerset House Friday. Try my best. But I mean, honestly, give me an excuse to program, make materials. It's not bad at all. Okay. This thing with Rust as well. I mean, it'll be different if I had a better computer. But compilation songs. But then I think it's because I'm not releasing it from the target. So every time you build your program, you can build in different environments. So you can have target, you can have release, you can have debug, or whatever. I think because I'm compiling it, it's basically every time if any changes, it just takes a bit longer. But if I was to do like target, it'd be instant, just like when I run the game on my machine. Yeah. So this next one, we got Pete's from Imperial, who are interested in building. Pete's from Southampton. I think Pete's from some northeastern universities. Okay. Yeah, I wish you could just like just switch it. Like, okay. So I'm gonna show you now what comes up. Screen, full screen. Okay. Okay. So yeah, this is just like a front end, web front end. When it comes through, I did this yellow, I mean brown, white, green theme because Stockfish has it. Yeah, I don't know. I think it could be done a bit cooler. Just a dead fish. But that's one of the most powerful chess engines. Yeah, a lot of people. come up with the rebuttal. The rebuttal, not really rebuttal, but they come with the point that chess games online, you want to know the person you're facing against is a real player. I think you can kind of ride that. Um, how do you say that? Inertia and just let people play bots anyway. If they want to bet on their bot being better than this bot and facilitate that as well, that's a market. Instead of like, people want to close out the market of bots in games, in human games, which makes sense, yeah, but why not just have bot lobbies anyway? Two programmers say this is my bot, make a market, let them duke it out. It's even going to be even less server stuff. They'll just be sending the chess notation almost instantaneously. Uh, Get loads of games that way. I think, yeah, after this, I'm going to make a to do list of what needs to be done. Um, I think the most important thing is doing a UI UX, doing the website, and getting in person recorded gameplay of tournaments happening. Hopefully, by next week, Friday, that'll be a reality. Get a few people for a tournament. Um, but yeah, okay. So yeah, this is the game here. If you just want to skip play as a guest, you can create a hot wallet, which basically just gives you a Solana wallet that you can fund using the DevNet. So you can load up from the website here. If you decide to use a hot wallet, you need to play. I mean, you need to pay to play here, so you can copy. Yeah, open the faucet. Amount 5. And find the airdrop. I have made some changes to the smart contract. Uh, yeah, okay. So yeah, some bugs. We've got the UI's messed up, which is really annoying. Okay, still got all the thingies, but yeah, I'm changing the UI, which I don't know I could do today. To be honest, just mess around with the UI stuff. Um, oh dear. Okay. So yeah, this was the Stockfish website, and then this is xfchess website here. Um, from here, you can connect your hot wallet or any wallet you want. Then you load up with your identity. But just check in the website first of all. It's home how to play, stats download. This stuff is just placeholders. But I might as well just fill this in now. Get some screenshots. Yeah, I might just do some web development. So it depends on what your website's going to be, and what your product is. To an extent, you can even use a website. But because I actually want to launch it to other people as well, I do want to use the website. So okay. Let me show you the game. You can kind of see how it works in that respect too. Okay. So this is like the latest version of the game. Okay. You know what? We can do it that way. What we can do here is we can have one game, and then what I'm trying to do is show you the online working. Oh dear. I think I have to do it. Tool, tool. See now this is the problem. Shall I work on the web development? Shall I work on the web? I think I'm going to do the web development. I'm going to run the game and do some web dev. Because once I got a solid website, I can just put the game up. Uh, so okay, I think everyone has their ideas of who's who's gonna go from the software devs, but I think front end is something just undoubtedly has been made so much easier. So, for example, um, I'll say to the AI. So this is where my front end lives. This web Solana stuff. I'll just say to the AI, run this. No, I don't have to go into my terminal, type in that, type in all these commands that's going to do for me anyway. Just run it locally. Okay, first sheet. Uh, running. I'll just scratch that. I'm not. It's gonna run it myself. CD. NP. Okay, I built it. Okay. Now I'm going to share my web page. So the reason I'm doing this is because part of the submission is a web page. Part of distributing the game is the web page as well. So okay, let's change this up. You're full on. Okay, I'm just trying to get this double screen up. Oh, no. Okay. Okay, cool. I think that's as good as it's gonna get. Okay, we done all the mobile versions. Okay, say xfchess play. Yeah. It's a glory of hot reloading. You can just yeah, watch the siege. Remove that button. I think today I'll just do. Well, it's what I need to do anyway. Just UI fixes, fix the website. Then I can show you an example of how I'm presenting my game. Also, influence relation. Raise your banner. Use. Oh, man. Chessboard in space. That's what I was going for. See, it might be harder to do this because I might have to. There's no compromising screenshots. Okay. There we go. So even these free models are incredibly good at just programming the website. There we go. Look at that. That's exactly how I probably wanted it. Make it about wagering. About that. Okay. I don't have any more. Right, so so quick. Prototype your website. Hello, hello. Okay. Hopefully I wasn't gone for too long. Yeah, what's it done? Watching yourself, watching yourself. If you watching me, watch. Okay. It's just this nav bar. I want this nav bar. Let's overhaul that. I like this nav bar. Just to keep it uniform. That needs to be legal as well. Because yeah, so apparently there's a rule where if you earn more than £150, then you have to do proper know your customer. But if it's below that in a month, then it's okay. Uh, so they're legal. They have to input their tax number, depending on what country they're from. There's only certain countries that allow it. After that, they're sorted out to play. Such an alt tabber can navigate the whole world using alt tab. Okay, so to be honest, I mean, it doesn't get better to be able to build and work on the thing. Uh, yeah, I need to know when to collect that information. So if I did, oh, I need to. To add the back end here. I think it's just how my ADHD, you know, my brain deals with this stuff. Searching. Did I? Okay, that's way better. Take a quick drink, boys. Okay, nice. I might even do some. Yeah, I mean, so I want the game ready for next Friday. Pretty not bad. Yeah, never put me on any bloody national secrets, anything like that. Okay. That's 3D paint ready here for any questions. This is not good because it's going to show me. So you have xfchess. Yeah. So anyone who just comes in, I can. Really, yeah, I'm not going to do that. This will be a very useful tool. And then, see now second of Mickey Mouse. Bloody hell, so many bloody signing servers. What's happening? So, see, that's the thing with this one. They still got that Phoenix one. Guess that one's crap too. Try to get some keys. Right, so this is just so we can have the sign up for that. Because honestly, what's really exciting is that this is basically ready for other people to just play. Building, building. Okay. Create one. TIno at mail. Special team password. Doesn't work again. Oh wait, maybe the server didn't even run. It ran. Kimmy is a better AI. They're so slow. Okay. Okay. Still getting that. Player's guess. You know what I need to find out is uh, see that's a bug there. He's in check, but he moved back piece. Yeah, I can copy that error. To be honest, if I could buy an AI, probably would kill me. Yeah, Kimmy's good. The normal windsurf AI just basically breezes through, it doesn't read it. Okay. Another thing is definitely the UI. Yeah, fuck it, right? Claude. I don't know, like, just AI, like, I don't know who can really hate on it. You can write those text messages that you don't know how to respond to the person. AI. Yeah, this is a big problem. I think one thing to release before main release is a 2D thingy. xfchess.com. I am. Hmm. Just found out about some Solana profile pictures. Need one. Yeah, so there was a breaking bug where this one didn't validate its moves. So even though it was in check from my bishop there, it still didn't register that, so it moved its pawn up here. But when you check, you can't do that. So I'm just making some UI changes so that fix that bug. And then when we load it up, it should be a bit different. It's going to take 5 minutes here. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, so we're just having a look at the competition, as it were. Um, and yeah, the AI made a point that at different angles, you're going to have issues with clicking, what piece you want. So we're going to try and copy chess.com's 3D chess angle here, and also make some other UI changes, like this check shouldn't come over. too much. Yeah. Let's just see how this game. Jay, what do you want? Cool. Mm. There was also no escape button, I don't think. Yeah, there's no menu button. Let's have a look at Coliseum dashboard. Anything interesting? Check X. Oh yeah, there are these side tracks as well actually. So wow, I think this pool is increasing as well. I haven't seen any UK specific stuff, but all the general stuff, Magic Plus got privacy, I saw that. Jupiter, not your regular bounty. Yeah. Okay. Uh, yeah, I can't see a UK based one just yet. There probably will be one, or there might not be one. Who knows? Because that's just the help bank hackathon. They so you just pairing and lobby. And then at the end of the day, if it can actually all work together quite nicely. Give me a second. Yeah, I mean, sort of solid. Yeah. I wonder if they've open sourced that anti-cheat. Oh, lovely. That's okay. See, that's done it for me. See, that's what I do as well. So I see it's like GitHub repos are like Pokemon, man. Like if you see one that'll be useful, yeah. So League Chess really has everything open source. Okay, I should have a source code one. You know Coliseum, man. What's the winner? Oh, sorry. What is it? Is it 10? Like 200 quarter of a mil for 10 projects? Like, let's check it out. Yeah. Oh, I don't know why I think this will be different. This will be on Okay. Wow. There's a lot of information here. You're willing to drop out. I think these weekly updates will be so useful. I do have an idea for one at the end of this week. This week will be the first one. Turkey. Apparently it's ready to go. Oh dear. Stop build. Yeah, definitely. And there's an idea of making a whole 2D variant. That needs a plan. That needs a good plan. So first of all, could that work if one player D and and with A, B, F? Because on paper, making a 2D total shouldn't be that heavy. Just have to correct the bot here because because it's just sharing state. It's not transferring anything, so it doesn't really matter um, if it's 2D or 3D. Yeah, okay. Let's make a plan. This took hours. No messing the moves here. Yeah, I'm just using old methods. Just checking. Yeah. I mean, if it works with the contracts, then you've got a good game. So what we've done today is some good UI improvements to the website and now to the game, just to validate the ones in the game. And yeah, every day get closer. This is pretty interesting. Build stations. Yes, that's always a big one. And you build your bloody business around it. Oh, what are we doing now? Okay, and I think I have Bevy Eager in references anyway. No. I mean, like before, I used to literally have to go onto Chris.io, copy it, put it in my cargo terminal, install the bloody crate. But now AI can do all that for me. That's really important to have these references in here of things that I want to use later. So it's another prompt for AI. Right, okay. Yeah. Let's run this again. Didn't really work first time. A lot of problems. This is the issue of having bloody verbose errors. Can't get to the bottom of it, which is not even funny. I don't know how to get rid of all these. I mean, bloody reading them. It's everything. Oh, I don't want me to try that. Yeah. Because let's say I finish this off by the weekend and I can just purely focus on gameplay. Look at that. 43,000 games in play. Oh, damn, you want a screen like that. You can even do like instantly flip it to bloody 3D. Okay, wait. Because if they're not unique, like King of the Hill, I think these are games created by people. But lol, okay. That's pretty cool. Um, how do these work? Uh, okay, they got a blog. Alright, perfection. Dreams. I mean, it just goes to show that there are streamers playing this. Therefore, reach out to them. Yeah, definitely reach out to them. Okay, so there's less errors now. That's interesting. I'm just really interested to see if we could generate some rules for this, have it work against Stockfish, and then add it to the game modes. Then bloody hell. Okay, are we ready? Moving forward. I just wonder if there's a moral component. So this one just gets hooked on and then they're losing money in chess. What's happening here? Oh, okay. Oh, I hate the science. Can't find the game. Oh wow. There can't be 3,000 people. I mean 2,500. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you could just do open tournaments like that. Yeah, let's see what this has to say. Not done yet. I think, yeah, if I spend this whole weekend just in the UI and all that, and we'll have something solid. Done. Wow. I have no idea what's in working now. Well, I don't know, that's a favorite chess. Damn. Oh, tried. What the hell is this? This is the longest. What games have King of Kings so much done? Spot an enemy combatant. What the bloody hell is this? That should be done soon. Yeah, I mean, anti-gravity is not a good IDE really, because they charge you. It just doesn't even work, and then you can't even refund it. It's just, I know this works, you know. There's nothing worse than messing up your batch scripts in your CD folders. I guess it's just the market, man. Three churches. Have you not finished? Um, that's 500 lines. 1,000. Give me 1 second. I think it worked. Okay, let's check the back end. Still not working. Uh, yes, boys, that is exactly what we wanted. Oh my god. Okay, I mean, this is exactly what I fucking wanted. The opening. Uh, oh, that's amazing. I'm going to call it there. Cheers if you came through or you watched that later on. Made some good headway in the UI and the game logic, and a lot of things to think about in terms of distributing it. I hope that was useful, especially the opening for getting started for the hackathon. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers.